Constructing your life is about much more than just building a bank account. Each week, join real estate entrepreneur and mindset coach Austin Linney as he interviews guests who are constructing their dream lives and impacting the world around them on a daily basis. If you're an entrepreneur or wanting to start a business, or you just want to hear motivating stories of how others have overcome the odds, you are in the right place. And now for your host, Austin Linney.
Let's do it.
Guys, welcome back to Construct Your Life. For the first time on this podcast, I have invited a man that might be better looking than me, but I doubt it. I don't think so. But his accent is way better than mine. Mr. Derek Rowe, how are you doing, my brother?
I am doing very well, Austin. Just back from the gym after leg workout, feeling surprisingly energized here for this conversation.
So, awkwardly or not awkwardly, this gentleman slid into my DMs and got me on the phone, and we hit it off. So tell everybody, first of all, where you live, which is a very interesting place, and then what do you do?
First of all, guess where I'm from. So you can put that into the comment section. Whoever, Austin is going to give you a prize if you can guess where I'm from. So you'll have so many minutes or half an hour, whatever. Currently from somewhere living in Malta, which is, for anyone that's listening that doesn't know, it's a small island in the Mediterranean Sea at the bottom of Sicily. And the reason being, I have a 5-year-old son here. And yeah, listen, I work online like Austin, and here I am talking in Malta to an American guy. How cool is that?
I love it. It's the best. But ultimately, you didn't get to a place where you were coaching and helping entrepreneurs and business people and everything that you do. So what I like to do with my guests is I like them to start their story and kind of explain to the audience where they want to start to kind of build up the reference point and then go from there.
Yeah, cool. I can give you a bit of background. Well, guys, I lived on the dark side of life. So, there's a lot of people out there struggling with addictions, anxiety, depressions, especially in this moment in time, should we say. So I went through all of that in my teenage years, 20s. You could say I was on the illegal side of making money for a large part of my life, a lot of trouble. I ended up in a lot of trouble, halfway houses, treatment centers. And that's where, listen, for me, right, Austin, it's about life experience. As coaches, right, I think, okay, you can learn out of a book all you want, you can go to college all you want, but people, what I feel, they really need the real person. They need someone who's actually lived a life, who has that experience, to bring it to the table with the skills. Now, you marry the two of them together. For me, that's the goal, right? That's the goal, and people can see bullshit from fake, right, all day long. And then I have also owned a gym back in certain country. Again, prize for whoever guesses that. I don't think it's going to be too difficult to guess. And really, even up till a couple of years ago, my life was up and down. I was finding it very difficult to control my emotions, temper, very emotional. I couldn't even get out of bed for days. And it was, all this therapists and stuff, and we're going back to the past. And I'm not saying it doesn't work for me, it didn't. So I'm not down on any of this for anybody. But I wanted something different. I needed a new pathway to discover where, okay, I could learn these techniques and get over, whether it was beliefs, whether it was anxiety, depression, all these things, negative thinking, procrastination. And I found a guy who taught me what I know now. And he's on fucking real, this fella. And I've not looked back, and I found I had a gift when I was talking to people that they would listen, but they would leave my conversation feeling, okay, do you know what? I feel good. And they would text me, I actually feel good with what you said, but I didn't know what I even said. It was just one of those moments. So then I start learning, I start taking on clients, and I still work with people who have anxiety, which we eliminate quite quickly. Procrastination, but I've more got into helping business people, entrepreneurs who are maybe stuck, I would say, with these certain belief systems that, maybe they've hit a wall with their money, or they're not that confident on a sales call. And they could be, and then we release those blocks and really we eliminate that bullshit out of their heads, and we actually create new belief systems to live and die by. Now, in saying all of that, people have to understand you can do the work, but you have to show up every day. You have to be disciplined and take action. And I think, and be consistent. They're the three things what I find people lack. That it's, they'll do so well for a month, 2 months, even 3 months, but then, something comes into their life and they get to the top of the mountain, self-sabotage, and they fall back down. And it's like, it's like on a roundabout. And really, each day, it doesn't matter what we digest, it's what you do today. We don't have to be in like 10 out of 10 form, but it's known at a moment you can change your state, bring a good feeling into the now, and then run with that energy. And therefore you win the day, because tomorrow is a new day. Yesterday doesn't matter. When we wake up tomorrow morning, this is a new day to set your goals. And for me as well, I'm big into fitness, and I think should be a major part of everyone's life. But I start with the mind, because it doesn't matter. You have the best program in the world. If your mind is not right, everything else will eventually come to the surface and it will break down again. Whereas this is the most powerful part to get right. And it actually makes the physical stuff, it makes everything else so much easier.
And ultimately, when people are in that loop, that sabotage loop, in recovery, I call it the shame loop, why are they stuck there, or what is the genesis from getting them out of there? Why are you, because I think self-sabotage is very prevalent a lot of times.
Yeah, it's like what I said there, and like even you brought it up. See, people get so far to do so well for so long, and it's, imagine, right, you're neurology, right? It's like, if I got people to close their eyes now, and I could say something as simple as, right, ask your subconscious mind to access a time and place where you felt confident and powerful. Within seconds, an image will pop up from the past. That's a good program. But people are running unconsciously these certain programs that have been, maybe embedded as a child. Maybe someone has said something to them that they might have been told you weren't good enough. And without them realizing it's gone in, and this is the program that's running. And for me as a coach, it's to listen, number one. I think you're in a similar boat. We have to listen. And it's actually something we talked a bit about earlier. We all have the resources, and all the listeners, you have the resources to be able to do this, but it does take somebody to come in and actually bring out those possibilities. And actually, when I talk about possibilities, it's creating different pathways instead of just, okay, we're moving in one direction. The direction isn't working. So like, obviously, if we continue that, it's the same results. So we've got to open up new pathways for new discovery. And therefore, with beliefs, a lot of it comes down to just questioning, like, because where is the proof? 99% of the time, there's no proof for this belief that people hold on to. But when they do actually break through it and overcome it, it's like, you've heard the analogy, people carrying the weight bag. It's like, fucking yoke is gone. Like, and they're going, this is like a new person. They're sleeping better. They're performing better, because it is about performance at a high level. And that starts within the neurology. It's what you take in. And when you replace what I call the bullshit, and you have to, because you have to go into the dark room, Austin. And what I mean by the dark room is like, people are afraid to go into the fears where all the monsters are, imaginary monsters, but they're in your head. You've got to turn on the light, and we've got to eliminate them one by one, whether it's beliefs, whether it's the negativity, whether it's the self-talk, and then we replace it with the better stuff. And then that comes out consciously in time. But again, this is, the discipline of it, taking the actions daily and obviously showing up and being consistent. And then you build a momentum. And when you have momentum, that leads to being unstoppable. And then it is day by day, because it's great to have, John, big believer, and we have to have our outcomes. Like, why are you getting up in the morning? Why are you doing what you do on a daily basis? If you don't know that, again, where are you going? There is no road. But that's what keeps my clients on track, knowing, right, this is the reason why I'm doing it. And then they'll do what it takes, because life is not easy, but it is as easy as you make it going forward.
And I think as I've dived into neuroplasticity and kind of the brain mechanism, right, which is kind of my focus right now, is that I think a lot of it, if you look at alcoholism, or you look at bad habits or drug addiction or whatever those things are, it seems like to me that most of the time, these are things that are embedded in your subconscious that I don't think on a day-to-day scale that people realize how much their, as you said, their programming creates kind of their daily actions, right? And it's like what I'm learning is that before you want to get healthy, right, or before you want to start drinking, you almost have to talk to yourself, right? You have to have these internal affirmations per se to create a new dialogue, right? Which is what you're saying, is create a new opportunity, a new thought process before you even take the action, correct?
Yeah, it's like with addiction, it's funny, right? Because I used a lot of cocaine and ecstasy, and I used a lot of drink. But when I look back on it, what I would say is this: I would ask myself the question, was I really addicted? Because, it goes back that it depends on your experiences, whether it's from a child or growing up. Things happen. And if you look at, or you've talked to addicts, and I look at myself, and I do talk to a lot of addicts, they've had trauma. This trauma is implanted in the neurology. And it's like, pictures come up. Again, you can go inside and get the good stuff. But if you're, where a saying goes, right, where you place your focus and attention, your energy flows. Now, if you're continuously, right, focused on negativity, it's, that's all your neurology knows, that they're the pictures, they're the videos. And for a lot of people, they find it hard to deal with. So I wouldn't say it's an easy option, because addiction is tough. It brings a lot of pain, but it's very easy then to go for the drink or take the lime because it makes you feel better. But it's a false feeling, because still you have to, at some stage, come sober and go, shit. And it's like, you're adding the fuel to the fire by keeping on the drinking and the using. Mm-hmm. And, there has to come a time where you go, right, I'm going to go through a bit of pain here. This is where the discipline comes in, and actually go into that dark room and actually really target. I get people to play a lot of videos and really relive the worst experiences ever. And it's a lot of anchors. And then I use anchors. We come in, John, where does somebody want to be, in their lives? And everybody has their own, I suppose, life they want, whether it is confidence, whether it's more money. It's usually going to boil down to money, love, and from that, it's fitness, it's confidence, it's energy, and all of that. And when people can start bringing their focus to that, but it comes down to the daily actions that build up to actually go out and get what they want, that's when things change. And that's when someone's life changes, more importantly. And it's coming down to language, how they do speak to themselves. And it's coming down to really what type of stories and bullshit they're playing in their own heads. And you can get on top of the two of them, then that's life transforming. And that goes for, I know we talked about addiction, but it goes for sales, people wanting to step up in business, having that story in their heads where really there is no, because I was on a podcast earlier on as well, there's no box. People put a box, it's an imaginary box, and unfortunately, it all sounds easy to implement all of this, and it is as easy as you make it. But at the end of the day, it's like going to the gym. If you're wanting to get muscles, you're going to have to be consistent with it. It's the same with the brain stuff. If you're not doing the reps, and you stop at a point, things will start to slide back down. But that's why I say keep it in the day, because each day is an opportunity to add that. Whether it's 0.0%, it doesn't matter. You're moving the needle forward. That's all that counts. And let's be honest for the listeners here. We're not around forever here. What are we waiting for? If there is people stuck here, my question is, why wait? We're coming to Christmas now, and it's this, oh yeah, we'll start this on the 4th of January, but it doesn't matter whether it's a new year, new day, new week. Now is the time,
Mm-hmm. No, and I think they need to create these. I think New Year's resolutions is the dumbest fucking thing I've ever heard in my life. No, it's ridiculous. If you want to get healthy today. It doesn't matter. But I think what's more important is ultimately what I'm finding with people is they're too worried about the outcome instead of worried about creating the habit, right? And what I mean by is if you walk into the gym and I don't bench 130 pounds, who gives a shit? Or if you're lose this weight or whatever, ultimately what you're trying to create here is a lifestyle. And meaning an identity around I'm a healthy person. And when you create that, then a 20-minute or 5-minute workout or 30-minute workout or 45-minute workout doesn't matter, right? Because you're creating a system around like, this is what I do. And so what I'm finding with myself for any high achievers is the needs on me are getting higher and the time is getting stretched thinner. So what I'm doing is, for moving to the next year, is I'm systematizing like the books I read. Like I have the schedule already for the next year. I've got, the workouts I'm going to do headed in the first 90 days. And it's just creating a space where I'm not setting myself up for failure. I'm setting myself up for success, for that to be my floor. And I find so much freedom in that. And I think, it can be something as simple as setting your clothes out the night before, and having them ready to go to the gym, because you're not creating that friction, right? Because I think life is about that friction point. And I think sometimes that friction point gets you out of the wheel. The wheel's not maybe strong enough to hit it right at first.
Exactly. Well, organization is one thing, and really, doing anything, right? And, going to the gym and wanting, whether it's going to the gym, upping your game, upping your bank balance, all these things that are important for life. Let's be honest, they're important. It's what is the payoff? Because in the moment, the payoff might not seem worth it, because it is difficult. Like, it's living by a schedule. And for a lot of people listening, they're already doing well. It's looking at a place, where can I do better? But when you get that consistency and you get to a point where you do have that bit of enjoyment, that enjoyment is far more sweeter. It's actually, you can look back and reflect and go, Jesus Christ, like, how worth it was it to actually do all of that? But then as quickly as that moment comes, you do step back into that life, because that life is what is always going to bring you the most success. It is always going to bring you the most joy and the most happiness. And it is always the hardest route to take. For many people, it is. Now, people do get it down. And, for myself, we're all human. We can all fuck up and make mistakes. That's cool. But it's like, it's looking at a mistake and it's going, yeah, okay, I should have done better there, but I can do better the next time. Rather than, and this will come down to a lot of the, I don't like saying mindset, but the stuff that goes in neurology and stories to come up for people. And it's organizing them in a way where all that matters is actually the outcome. And then what matters after that? But you're like, family, friendships, everything has to be, like you said, laid out, organized, in schedule, because then people do turn into a well-oiled machine that functions well. And all we're trying to do here is like, not even open up eyes, but it's just adding that bit more steel to somebody's already, well-oiled machine.
And I think ultimately, like, one of the things that I hang my hat on, regardless of what people view me as, right? Because not everybody knows my life, even though it's out on social media and I have a podcast, is that ultimately, like, one of the things my ex-business partner told me is like, you are acceptable to feedback, right? And it doesn't matter how perfect you think I am or how I work out every day. Like, there's always things I can do better on. And so I'm always available to be coached by somebody that I respect, or to get that little piece of advice. And I think the only issue I run into is you meet a hot rod or some dude making a bunch of money and he's like, oh shit, I'm good. I don't need any coaching. And I've been there myself. Like, I don't need my fucking coach. Like, I'm good. And then I fucking hit like a wall doing 90, so, I think that it's very important that no matter how good you're doing, there's always room for tweaking. And I think ultimately what I found with a lot of people is that the monotony of, and it happens to me too, the monotony of the accountability can almost get exhausting sometimes. Like, it gets, like, I get to a point where I'm like, okay, enough personal fucking development. I'm done. You know what I'm saying? Like, did you ever get there?
Yeah, listen, it can get to a point. It's at some stage where it's like, fuck me. Is this what it's about? But listen, okay, sometimes you do need to take a step back. And like, we're not talking, lads, here, for all the listeners here, we're not going like 24/7 on it. It's just not the case. But it's about being, as productive as you can be in the time given, and not being, there's a lot of busy fools out there, and they're not where you can do a lot of good work in a shorter amount of time. But yeah, like it's like adding on, on top of the business skills and the mindset skills, it's adding on the fitness skills. All of this is important because, it is key to performance, and it is key to pushing on. And even though it can get monotonous, though yourself, Austin, when you do something you may not want to do, but when you push through and you do it, obviously that's a state change, and that's what I'm talking about. It'd be as simple as doing 100 press-ups here now. You're going to feel better for it.
No, 100%. I think ultimately what I've told my clients, and this is the most important thing, I think the difference between the true 1% and the other, or they do the things when they don't want to do the things. And I think every time you push through that barrier, and as somebody said to me earlier, you break that glass ceiling, it's another way for you to take yourself to the next level. And ultimately, like what I tell myself is that, 2020 version of Austin can't walk through the fucking door of 2021. Like he doesn't exist because he can't hold his water. And so that's what I tell myself. So, like Ed Milet says, I'm at a crisis to get to the next best version of myself. And that's the way I view everything. And so that's why the growth mindset, the always talking to people, the tweaking, the scene, right? But ultimately, like it's an internal belief, right? That is sparked inside of me that ultimately, like what I tell my team, this is a perfect example. What I tell my team is that if you can know that every day Gary V wakes up and thinks he's playing small, then we got shit to do.
We definitely got to get on that shit then, man. But it's true, like what you said. It's like, each day is the opportunity. Like, really what we've achieved today, great, pat yourself on the back. But tomorrow, the next day, every day you step into is an opportunity. And like, we're not talking about, it's like, the compound effect. And I think, I'll give you an example. Like if you go, and I think this could have been, Ed Milet might have said something like this as well on one of his podcasts, that like if you go and look, you go down and you look at a cliff beside the water and the waves are smashing in against it, you're not going to notice a major difference in a few months. You probably won't even notice a major difference in a year. But after a year, you will notice it. And that is like the compound effect, because in the moment, we can all go, fuck's sake, this is monotonous. It's like, why are we doing this? But it's reps. And then you do get to expert level. And then when you get to expert level, there's even more levels, like what you said. Mm-hmm. And like the world is about opening it up. And it is about, a big thing here, like, how we even met. It's about making connections. It's everybody has.
Well, okay. There's an important part of that. The reason that we met and we're so available for it is because that me and you see the world as an opportunity opposed to not. And I think that's a very important point, because it's the same way every time I've gone to a mastermind event or flown across the country for a meeting, I've met somebody that's been significant in my life because I'm available and open to it, opposed to the other way around.
1,000,000% that you've got to be open on this. It comes back for a lot of people, and it might be even going back to sales or just wanting to be better, and it comes back to that system. And I don't even know if there is such a thing as beliefs. I think people tell themselves stories that turn into what is the word I'm using? Self-fulfilling prophecies. That's what happens. Like they actually. They tell themselves so much, and that's what it actually turns into after a while. Whereas by the right question, and I do this with my own clients, and it might be someone that just can't make the sales. They're doing sales, but you have a self-fulfilling prophecy before they even jump on a sales call. Now, when you can break that down and actually, because there isn't, and you can find proof for the contrary, that is bullshit, that belief, then that opens up what I said, the new pathway. And then, i.e., it makes the sales far easier. And you can put that strategy onto that's just one strategy, but you can put it onto any of these. You can call them beliefs, but realistically, it's talk that turns into self-fulfilling prophecies. That's my opinion on it.
and it's weird because some of my clients have been to rehab or in recovery, and they're now in the real estate space or whatever. But I describe them as peacocks, and they're peacocks that have burnt feathers, and they're not that pretty. But all they want to do is blow out those feathers again, and they want to fly, right? And so ultimately, what I find a lot with them is they're kind of like dipping their toe in the water, but they're so nervous that something they're going to do is going to snap them back to that previous life. And what they don't realize is they've created a new person, and that person doesn't exist. So I have a big issue. Like, look, I don't give a shit if you can drink or can't drink or do drugs. I don't give a shit. It doesn't matter to me. But what I'm saying is what I have a problem with is if you're 18 years sober, you can identify as being in recovery. I'm cool with that. There's nothing against that I'm upset about. But at some point, you have to realize that you've left that life so far behind that you can't even fucking see that life. And so when I get a hold of you and I get my hands on you, like we're trying to make the distance between that life, the previous life, and the new one so far away that you don't even see it anymore.
Exactly. And blow it into oblivion is a word that came to my mind, because exactly. It's breaking that connection, Austin.
Yeah.
Because I'd have a lot of experience in that world, and I've been in recovery meetings. You know, I was a couple of years now. They weren't for me because, again, you know, I've learned new skills, updated skills, and a lot of the people they're not updating their mind, and so it's very easy to live over here in that world still and have the connection to it. But like, again, it's not easy. Like, life's not meant to be easy. It's not easy to make that next step, because again, it comes down to identity. You know, their identity was, you know, as an addict, as addicted to whatever. That's the identity. So they do have to change their identity. But what they don't realize, they have everything within. Everyone has their own resources here. Like, they have the resources, but they have to be willing to use them. And for a lot of people, it's fear that keeps them in the shell, because that's comfortable. But let me ask people the question, like, what's going to be, that may be comfortable now, but if you're looking 5 years time, how uncomfortable is that life going to be when you've not changed? Because that's called regret then.
No, 100%. I wrote it this morning. Everybody seems to have an extremely high standard for everybody around them. But I ask you a question: how high are your standards for yourself?
Exactly. You're the proof, you know, we're all the proof. Me, you, all the listeners here. You are the proof, and it actually is not talk. It is actually, you put one step in front of the other and you take the actions. That's your proof. See, talk is cheap, as we know, and it's like, you know, it's easy to go on social media and tell everyone X, Y, and Z, but like, you know, at the end of the day, it's down to energy as well. You know, people aren't fools. You know, it is. To talk is bullshit. You can do the talking once you're taking the actions, and the proof is always there for people to see anyway with results.
No, I love that. And so, you know, my issue, just to call myself out, is I did a lot of talking in my 20s about what I was going to do or what I thought I was going to do. And so now I'm a little more quiet, and I'm kind of just, you know, as I call it, grinding in the shadows. And I let the results of my, you know, this guy wrote this yesterday, and I thought it was spot on. I clapped, I applauded, I screamed out for him. He said, as a client, I'm going to read it because I want to make sure I get it right. He says, a lot of you people in the coaching business are going for a cash grab. And he says that, you should, I got to see this one. He said that you should let your clients' results be louder than your ego.
Yeah, and enough said. Enough
said, right? Because ultimately, and this is the way I view it as a coach, and I think I would imagine that you're the same way. That human that I'm coaching, that's my name. That's my fucking name walking around. And if you think for 1 minute that I'm going to let my name be sullied? I don't think so. So I'm putting everything I got into it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, so listen, man, it goes without saying as a coach, and if somebody is buying into you, is buying into your process, is buying into your program, that there has, you know, they have to get the result that they wanted, that you've told them. Now, that boils down to quite simple. That's just integrity at the end of the day. Now, everyone can make a fucking mistake, but you can own it. John, this is, I think, with a lot of this online stuff, that it's the same stuff being talked over and over and over, and people are very afraid to be themselves, have an opinion, and, say how they feel on a certain subject. And I think it goes back, I talked about life experience, and you have, Jesus, like you have a lot of life experience. And when you can bring that to the table, man, that's you can't beat that shit. Now, okay, you've got the skills and the strategies into that mix, but that mix alone is unstoppable, is unbreakable, and people can feel that, man, off you. I can see it with my own clients, and they are to your walking, their testimonials, like to your walking reviews. They're, you do a good job, people will talk. They will, credit you, but like the credit's not really for us, because we're only the guide. That's how I see myself. Okay, I'm the link. I'm only trying to bring the best out in somebody, perform at a higher level and reach their actually true potential. It's the clients that are doing the work. We're only there as that bridge. Okay, it came up on a yoke. It's like, I don't know who said this, but I do use it now. It's like a coach is a Sherpa. It's like, the Sherpas that guide people up Mount Everest and up the bigger mountains. They've been up there many times themselves, so they know the pattern, they know the guide. So that's what I class myself as, a Sherpa. I'm going to guide you up the mountain. I've walked this fucking mountain numerous occasions. If you want to come, but at the end of it, you will get a result, and you will feel unbelievable.
So I want to ask you a question, because I know you'll answer it honestly. When you were using and you weren't in your best version of yourself, is there any inkling or any ounce of your body part that thought you would be coaching other humans?
No, because at that time, right, I couldn't even look after myself, man, let alone think about coaching humans. Maybe coach a few aliens that were taking drugs with me. I could have coached them. I had plenty of followers back then as well, but listen, we're talking about adding people's lives. I was taken away from people's lives 10 years ago. I was actually taking away the energy from their lives. But it's funny when you look back, and it's again like you look at the experience of it all. I think it's invaluable experience now. Now, I was about, it's added to what I can offer anyway. It's definitely added to what I can offer, because I have more of an understanding. And at that time, I couldn't have seen. It's like having dark glasses on and actually seeing the world in a different view. I could not have imagined. But that's a good point, because if there is, for a lot of listeners, it's not about having an imagination or anything, but it is about having then what I call a well-formed outcome. And a well-formed outcome is just the vision, right? Where do you want to be on a certain day? Who's going to be around you? You can go as far as saying how much money you want, all of that, but it's this day, and it's actually striving for that day. And it's that then your imagination does come in. And when it comes into visualization is important, but it's not the be all and end all, because the unconscious and the subconscious work is vital, but that'll replay. Then if you're putting in the good stuff on top of that, you're going to sleep on it, you're waking up on it. Consciously, your brain, once you're willing to do the work, will move you in that direction. There's no doubt about it. So, you can call it imagination if you want, but Jesus Christ, I couldn't imagine I'd be here 10 years ago. Thought I'd be dead, possibly. Better locked up. It's one or the other, man.
Yeah, and I think ultimately what I'm trying to get people back into, and what I think is why people like me sometimes, is because I have a little bit of that out of the box technique. But ultimately, we as adults, one of the things I bang my drum on is we've removed fun from our life. Nobody has fun anymore. We're trying to get this goal for I don't know what reason, whatever, instead of just when did we throw out that living life and being happy and healthy and spending time with our loved ones was not a great goal.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And living for that should be an important part of the parcel, like of the actual transformation, is spending time with your family, is, being with loved ones, is having fun. Like at the end of the day, man, like, it's one of the biggest, it comes down to feelings with three senses. It's smell, it's feel, and it's, what we see, like, and I use that a lot in my coaching, because for a lot of people, again, it's that one direction and that's it. And they have to hit these targets and that. But like, what a lot don't realize, man, when you start adding in the fun parts and spending time with your friends, spending time with your family, or even if you don't have a family, asking people out on dates, that adds to your life, and it actually adds then to your business. And you're actually an all around function at a much higher level, because you're hitting everything. And this goes, good, because you can have, if a lot of people, if you had your finances right, but your health is shit, you're not going out, you're not socializing, you're not enjoying yourself, you're not going to be, that's not going to be well rounded. It's just not. But again, it's having the discipline as well to be able to have all that good stuff in your schedule. But also, when you're in work, you are working, man. You are working ruthlessly. And then you're doing the same in your social life. You're doing the same in your family life. And then that for me is a transformation. And I'm living that in physically as well, of course. Like that for me, man, is a real transformation.
Because ultimately, right, and I think one of the things that draws us, besides the fact that we just love it, and I stay very busy because I just like to work, and we're building something here. But ultimately, if I wanted to, and I've done it for next week because I'm going to see my mom and my grandmother. But ultimately, like I could work Monday through Wednesday and be done for the week, like. Yeah. But here's the rub though. This is very important part of that conversation. I'm comfortable enough in what I've done in those 3 days to be able to take Thursday and Friday and Saturday and Sunday and be okay with it. When a lot of people don't, they can't look at on face value and say, okay, I put in the work I needed to get here, because ultimately we just want to push. But ultimately, what's going to happen is I'm going to show up the next week rested and ready to dive back in, instead of feeling like I've never took a day off. And this is the hardest thing that I'm working on, because I'm a workaholic. I love to work. But I'm trying to create these boundaries in my life, so I make sure that I show up on these days when I do have 7 podcasts in a day and I'm locked in. It's very important part of my routine that I'm trying to work on.
Yeah, I'm going to actually. Do you want to substitute jobs? Just for a couple of weeks, man. I'll move to America. I'll work Monday to Wednesday. No, but I can't watch.
No, that's not what's happening right now. But I'm just saying, ultimately, if I wanted to, yeah,
which is cool. But I know you well enough to know you want more as well. And listen, it's not about always wanting, but I know you and I know myself, we're adding to other people's lives, and we do have to show up. You have to have a presence. I never thought I'd be on social media every day, and it's not something I'm crazy about, but it's a part of the world now. So that's where we met. You've got to be on social media, but it's not always about wanting more. It's actually, having that peace in the moment as well, man, for me, and actually being just cool with where you're at. And it makes the job of actually, when we're talking about stepping up levels, it makes it far easier when you're in a much more relaxed, content situation with all parts of your life, man. Because I meet a lot of people and their worlds are tiny. And it's just opening it up that bit every week through the coaching. And then they're going, Jesus, now we have a life. Now we have an endless amount of opportunities, because there is an endless amount of opportunities and possibilities for everybody.
100%. Because ultimately, what do they tell you? There's not enough time. And I tell them, bullshit. There's plenty of time.
Yeah.
But your world is this small, and you're not understanding that you just have to be available to it. And, there's no need to give all of our tricks out. I'm not gonna broadcast this. But ultimately, what I found through helping anybody, whether it's just through coaching or just a friend in general, is energy, and your belief goes a long way in that. Like a lot of times, guys, everybody that's listening, somebody just needs somebody that gives a fuck. I mean, it's really about that simple, you know?
But it's true, like, because for a lot of people, it's okay, it's listening. And it's like, for me, it's just sometimes one question will just, Jesus Christ, it will just, I think we talked about this earlier, will just unlock a load of bullshit off someone's back. Like, it will take those weights off. And it is listening, but it's actually the guidance. It's the meaning behind it. It is the meaning behind the coaching. And that's why, like, for me, right, I wouldn't be sitting here, Austin, if I didn't invest in myself. Since I got myself, well, in a good place, if I didn't invest in myself, and like you said about masterminds, meeting all these people, connections, I wouldn't be here. And it's something I do have to say, because I know a lot of people invest in this and that, but it's not. It's an investment. It's not a cost. So that's why, because it is an investment. And there's no coach. Okay, I've had some great coaches. I've had probably a couple of bad ones as well, realistically, looking back. But I wouldn't be here because, we all need to be shown that there is something different to try to enhance our lives, because we're all looking to enhance our lives. Me and you are no different than anyone listening. Or, that it is about that, and it's just about learning. Okay, if I do this, I'll get that result. If I do A, I get B.
And it's more important than that. Just the reframing what investing in yourself looks like, right? And what I mean by that is, $15 for a Netflix pass, or $15 for a book, right? That one chapter or that one sentence could change your whole life. And I heard something on a Netflix show, funny enough, but I digress. But Zac Efron was like talking about water and how water makes up all your body, and it's the thing that people don't think about the least. And like this one thing, right? And so, one of my big things in society is we don't truly understand enough, and they're getting better about it, but they don't truly understand, the physiological benefits of like what you eat and what you put in your body, and how much that affects you on a day-to-day basis. And, there's a book out there that, like, if you are an irritated person and you eat spicy food, you'll be more irritated. Like, so just like cut it out of your diet. But people don't pay attention to that at all. They think there's no way that they could think that. So instead, right, I have a buddy who works in healthcare, big up in healthcare. And he told me a stat that pisses me off, frankly. He said that there is a larger percentage of people that are on 2 medicines than are on 0 in the United States.
Yeah.
It's a crime.
Well, it is. I don't think it's only America. I think it's a lot of the world. Yeah, we could get into that. It would make me quite angry now.
There's no need. But ultimately, what I mean by that is, like, everything that you're digesting, meaning the negative conversations at work, the news, all these things, they play a part in your overall makeup of how you feel about your life. It's as simple as that.
Yes, and it can all be avoided. So there's a reason I don't read newspapers and I don't look at the news. And there's, we all have our reasons. And I suppose, it brings up, we all have a choice to make. We all make our own choices and our own decisions in life for what we want to take. And for a lot of, even what you said about, it is a crazy statistic. And it's certainly not surprising. I think it's the way of the world now. I think people are just programmed into what the news tells them, especially around COVID and stuff like that. It's like, yeah, okay, the news said this, so it must be true. It's like, whose fucking program are you running there? Like, it's certainly not yours, and people have to look and what is their opinion, what is their choice. And I don't think enough people listen. There's a lot of good people in the world, a lot of good people left, but I think there's a lot of people confused. There's a lot of people can't make a decision, can't make a choice. And and I think, going back to even a simple thing of food, it's just taking the easy way out. And we said this earlier, that it is about, you do have to go through hard times. to get to that time where you'll have a really enjoyable time. But then, you got to put the head down and do it again. But man, that is the enjoyment of life. The payoffs are massive living like that. And it is, there's always the next level. There's always going, you get to the next level, there'll be another level. It's non-stop, but that's living, is it not? That's the question I would ask someone, is that not living? Or is it a case of, you want to watch Netflix fucking 10 hours a day, whatever?
Well, dude, I appreciate this. If anybody wanted to find out about you, how would they get a hold of you?
Facebook I use mainly. So Facebook, Derek Rowe. So feel free to hit me up.
I love it. Well, dude, if y'all like this episode, make sure you send it out to your friends, guys. We appreciate y'all for listening, and we'll see you next time.
Cool.
Thank you for listening to Construct Your Life with Austin Linney. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to rate, review, subscribe, and pay it forward by sharing with a friend. Most importantly, take this opportunity to start constructing your life by taking immediate action on what you learned. For show notes, resources, and more information on one-on-one coaching with Austin, visit constructyourlifepodcast.com.